Endometriosis is never about just endometriosis. Even after the disease has been removed, symptoms may persist. And this is especially true with bowel endometriosis and with bloating and gut pain and everything else surrounding the microbiome in the gut. Please join us in this video to learn all about the microbiome's impact on your health and on your gut. Good evening, Endo Summit Facebook crowd and our gatherings here on Zoom. We are so excited to have you join us for this special edition of Endo Summit Live, where we're talking all about the microbiome with Seth Kaelin. Seth, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? It's so wonderful to have you here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Sally. I really appreciate it. Yes, Seth Kaelin. I've been working with Standard Process since 2010 as a nutritional consultant. With about over the past 11 years, been working with about over 1,000 practitioners between the Midwest and the East Coast. In 2010, I got my nutritional therapy practitioner certification. In 2017, I became board certified in holistic nutrition by the National Association of Nutrition Professionals. And really, this is what I do, and I'd love to do on a regular basis, is just educate as many people as possible so they can take control back of their own life and make differences that can shift them towards whatever it is their goal, whatever their quality of life that they want to achieve, is really help give them the tools in order to be able to accomplish that.
We love having you here because everybody in our crowd knows that healing or living with endometriosis is not only about the medical side of things, but there's lots that you can do that may change your symptoms. It may not change the disease, but it'll change your symptoms. And change your symptoms means change your life. So it is very exciting to have this particular topic on the microbiome and the gut presented because, of course, anyone who's had bowel endometriosis, anyone who's done a bowel prep, anyone who's had surgery, you got microbiome, and it's time to talk about it. Seth, go ahead and start your presentation. Right. It's great.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Sally. Let me just pull this up and we can get started. So really, we're going to talk about the microbiome test kit and what that test kit is measuring. But the microbiome essentially is, we all have an environment within our body that has more cells than the cells that are actually making us our DNA, and up as us be able to think properly, us be able to be healthy overall. The test kit is really an insight that can give us so much power in order to be able to make changes in our own health. So just real quick as a disclaimer, this is not representation of Standard Process or has not been reviewed by the FDA. This presentation, and it should not, and no summit, I should say, or Biome, the microbiome test kit. This is really just information that's in order to be able to provide you more knowledge to make a difference with. Really, that's really what it comes down to. So I want to just thank the researchers that put a lot of this content together that I was able to grab from their presentations. Dr. Martindale, Dr. Gunam, Standard Process, and Holistic Matters overall. A lot of education research that went into this test. So just a fire hose summary, just a lot of content for us to cover. I'll get into the big three, why the microbiome is so important. I'm going to touch on research, not much, because there's so much out there. What influences the microbiome, dysbiosis, the test, and what are some next steps for you. So the big three, everything that the microbiome test kit that we're going to talk about measures is not measuring the big three, which really is the stomach, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. That is what sets up the environment for a healthy bacterial and fungal and viral load in our gut. That's going to help provide us the right environment that's going to help maintain homeostasis. So digestion is a north to south process. So it does actually start in our brain. So we used to have a long time where people would spend all day cooking, and there would be a lot of aroma that's triggering senses that's getting us prepared for meals. we used to sit down and take our time, get into parasympathetic mode and chew our food. That would help to start the digestive process. Like myself, I'm one to go a lot, so I don't chew my food all the time. I always look at my wife sometimes and say, we have to slow down and chew our food. So it does start there, but as far as like where we can make changes from a functional standpoint, we have to make sure that our stomach is working properly, our gallbladder is producing and providing the bile at the time that food is in our duodenum, and our pancreas is producing enzymes to set up the right environment for us to have a healthy GI system. So that's just wanted to put that in there, because the microbiome test kit is an amazing kit, but you really should work with a practitioner that's going to help assess your stomach, your gallbladder, and your pancreas to make sure that you have the right environment to support a healthy bacterial environment. So health implications for us to, sorry, there's like things in the way here for the transcription. It's covering some of my words, so I apologize about that. But the health implications of the microbiome, essentially it impacts everything. Everything affects everything, especially when you're dealing with our digestive system and our gut health. So digestive health, obviously, if there's gas, bloating, dysfunction of some sort. Brain health, all of our brain chemicals, for the most part, the precursors are started in a healthy gut environment, and our overall health. The gut is central to affecting everything in our body. And there's multiple common disease processes that is being researched. And there's ways that we can actually personalize recommendations for you to make sure that you have the right environment that you can help with supporting your overall health for the best. So there's clinical publications that shown dysbiosis connection of the microbiome and associated with all sorts of side effects and disorders. So not just digestive, because when people think of microbiome in general terms, they think of some of the common digestive complaints that they have, but it affects everything, because inflammation in the gut essentially is going to transcribe into inflammation in the body. So this is just a visual for you, just again, going back to that idea that everything affects everything. So if there's an unhealthy microbiome and there's dysbiosis, which we'll talk about what that really is, there can be brain effects, there can be fungal effects that happen in your mouth, there can be lung impacts, there can be skin, because there's a bacterial environment on our skin, blood effects, GI obviously, and if all of those things are affected to some degree, our hormones can be out of balance, our inflammatory processes are going to be out of balance, and essentially our ability to be able to remove toxins, eliminate waste, repair tissues, and overall just have a healthy, vital life is going to be impacted by having a dysbiotic microbiome. So there's a lot of studies out there. It's such a growing body of research that's going on right now, showing that the connection between dysbiosis and the progression of a lot of different health conditions out there. And these are just a list of some of those. This list goes on. So there's a lot of this, and there's research or references that we can get to at the end. But not just, so just don't think of it being, IBS, IBD, celiac, think about, how many people are dealing with diabetes, and 1 out of 3 people in the US are walking around with pre-diabetes. And 80% of those people don't even know that they have that at all. And it could be connected to what started as just, indigestion, or it could have started with some medication use, which created a dysbiotic gut. So it's connected to obesity, hypertension, and there's a whole host of other lists that go on. So this is just, this was a kind of a study that just, said essentially if there was a dysbiosis of some degree, once it got to a certain level, the microbiome became the pathobiome, where if you had such a dysbiotic gut and microbiome, you were more likely to actually have, you would more likely to be a lethal issue if you were getting peritonitis. I'm sorry. So this is Ken Daily Supplements. I can't see any words, just so you know, I can't see any words that are like this far from the screen. That's okay, but just so you know where I'm trying to get my gears and going, and I can't even read what I'm talking about. So, but daily supplements, as far as can this actually impact someone's 6 days? So this is just a study that was showing that increased probiotic take can actually decrease the number of sick days that someone takes. The gut microbiota brain access. So gut-brain access, you know, the gut is this is the second brain, if you guys have heard that before as well. So it's connected to, if you have a dysbiosis, there's anxiety, depression, neuroplasticity issues as far as being able to remember things, blood-brain barrier integrity, and, you know, a whole host of other things that can all be stemming from a, you know, again, going back to that, well, was it the microbiome? Was it the big three? Was it the stomach, pancreas, gallbladder? Sometimes we think of those things as simple. You know, it's just a digestive issue. It's just I'm taking in an acid. But over time, those, you know, those medications can actually increase the likelihood of developing some of these issues. And obesity, you know, a lot of times people, when we work with them from a functional nutrition perspective, this is one of the main drivers that they have is, you know, is this going to help me? You know, they start with, they want to, how do I lose weight? If there's inflammation in the gut, if there's hormones that are out of balance because of gut microbiome being dysbiotic, that can be one of the main drivers of that's diminishing the likelihood of being able to lose weight. So there's some additional research here as far as like they took 2 mice and transplanted the microbiota of a germ-free mice and compared it to a twin, and, you know, one gained weight, one remained lean. So the microbiome definitions. So there's 3 main communities of the microbiome: the bacteriome, the bacterial community, the mycobiome, sorry, the fungal community, and the viral community, virome. So today we're talking about the microbiome, and the microbiome test kit essentially takes all of those things into account as well when it's doing the measurements. Although we talk about bacteria and fungi separately, these microbes live together in a communal garden. So, you know, the bacteria and, you know, the fungi, they're in our body. They should be in our body in healthy levels. The problem is when we don't have the right environment, or there's things that from stress or our lifestyle gets them out of and displaced, then they start to have overgrowth. But they actually communicate with each other. You know, a communal garden, they're supposed to be there in symbiosis, in homeostasis, and they communicate. They have their own 5G network. They use quorum sensing to be able to communicate back and forth. It's pretty neat. Microbiome supports different bodily functions. So, you know, regulating homeostasis, communicating with our brain, nutrient absorption, and overall digestive health is extremely important. Again, it's not just digestion, it affects everything in our body. The microbial communities in our body are in harmony with each other. So we want to try to get them to a place of homeostasis and symbiosis. So if we can get our gut health to less inflammation and less gastrointestinal system, that's going to have a symptomatic relief on other issues that are going on in our body. And we can essentially help with balance and maintain the microbiome if we can measure it, and we can directly influence it by our lifestyle, you know, by our ability to manage stress, by our ability to get the proper amounts of sleep, and by what we put in our mouth. Dysbiosis refers to microbial imbalance on or inside our body. So just think of anything that you put on your skin as well. You know, this may be antibacterial soap. I don't know if you've seen any of the information that's out there that antibacterial soap can actually increase the susceptibility of catching infection through the skin, because it takes away that protective barrier of bacteria on our skin. And the microbiome, when it's out of balance, our whole body suffers. An imbalance of bacteria and fungi contributes to inflammation. It's not only just diarrhea, gas, bloating, nausea, etc. So what contributes to dysbiosis? It's certain medications. We definitely know that antibiotics can wipe out bacteria. So there's over 1,000 species in a healthy gut microbiome, and taking one course of broad spectrum antibiotics has been shown to actually, short term, take that down to 200 species. So as far as the diversity of our bacteria is extremely important in our body to maintaining that homeostasis. So if we eliminate that many species, then it sets up an environment for inflammation, for overgrowth, and can just affect us negatively. So acid-reducing drugs is well known, to reduce the health of our gut. NSAIDs, hormone drugs, corticosteroids, diabetes drugs, antipsychotics, anti-cancer. And it's not that you want to come off of these medications. You definitely want to talk to your doctor about, how that could be impacting your microbiome. But if you don't know how it's impacting your microbiome, then you can't make any changes. So, taking this information and being able to, learn what's in our gut and being able to make changes is just going to give you a better chance of those medications possibly not needing as much or being changed by your medical doctor if you're able to regain some health, if you're able to reduce the inflammation in your body, which you don't need that anti-inflammatory anymore. So there's a lot of potential when you actually have the insight and knowledge in order to be able to make changes. So what contributes to dysbiosis? Levels of stress. If everybody looks over onto the right, if you can also think of Halloween coming up and the holidays, I would like you to just look at that and say, my microbiome is going to be most likely jacked up for a little bit. So what am I going to do to actually make a change for the positive? Because junk food, refined sugar is not going to help support a healthy microbiome long-term. And what this is not meant to do is to scare or fear you away from, well, I'm never going to be able to change everything all the time. It's, it's that 80-20 rule. You want to get into that 80% positive, 80% good. And I'm not saying 20% bad, but, trying to have that balance where you're having more positive than bad that's actually affecting your health. And if you do, and if you learn about what's going on in your body, then you can make better decisions. And it's your decision and your choice of how what you actually choose to put in your body. We've already discussed that. So what we're going to talk about now is getting into some of the research behind the microbiome test kit. The researcher, Dr. Gunam, is the top scientist, top 1% scientist in the world on microbiome, and he's the top 0.1% cytomicrobiologist out of 134,000 of them cited in research. He's got over 450 peer-reviewed journals or publications, 23,000 citations in scientific literature, and has gotten over 25 million in National Institutes of Health funded research. So that is where the background of this test comes, of the microbiome test kit with standard process. It's a state-of-the-art testing platform that allows us to collect high-quality samples without the need for massive amounts of samples. So this test kit is something it's done on it looks like a Q-tip, like a swab, a nasal swab, and you use on your toilet paper. You don't have to send in vials or anything like that. It's extremely simple to collect and to submit, and the results you'll get in about it takes about approximately 4 weeks on average, sometimes up to 6 weeks depending on shipping. There's some shipping issues that are out there sometimes these days. So what is it? The gut microbiome profile is essentially it's measuring bacteria and fungus in one test. There's a lot of tests out there, and most of them are a lot more expensive, and they don't include bacteria and fungi together. But with the advanced technology that Dr. Gunam has, we're able to do DNA sequencing. It's called 16S technology for the bacteria, measuring the bacterial, and the ITS for measuring the fungal component in one test to be able to see what the ideal ranges are. And our test is matched up against one of the largest databases of bacteria and fungi in the world. And it's been this research is all connected. It's been a part of the map of the normal healthy gut flora, which was a part of the NIH Human Microbiome Project, which Dr. Bloom was a part of. So it's a home test kit. You get actionable insights, both dietary, lifestyle, and supplement recommendations that you can make meaningful changes within your gut microbiome. So why would you do it? Gut issues, obviously, that's self-explanatory. If you do have any digestive issues, if you had food sensitivities or allergies, that's number one. If you have any inflammation in your body at all, the chronic inflammation many times is stemming from a source of a gut imbalance. And anybody that is wanting to actually just achieve the highest level of their own health and optimize their health. So it's essentially for any and everyone, because it's connected to hormone health, it's connected to brain health, it's connected to inflammation, feeling better, it's connected to sleeping better. So if you want to feel better, have a higher quality of life, the microbiome test kit is going to give you information to say, okay, that's my missing piece. That's what I've been missing. Now I know what to target. Because unless you know what you're actually targeting, it's really hard to make changes sometimes. To make blanket changes is great when they're good recommendations, but when you can get narrowed in and just get laser focused on what may be going wrong or what is out of balance in your body, that's extremely powerful for you. So how? You get a comprehensive test report, bacteria and fungi and phyla and species. I'll share with you at the end how you can get a consultation from a healthcare practitioner virtually to be able to go over this test report with you and actually give you greater insights with the report on how you can make meaningful changes in your body and in your life. But you will get the report with personalized, actionable wellness insights. So you get the comprehensive gut score. I'll show you lifestyle insights, nutritional insights, and supplements. Depending on what is out of range, these supplements are customized to know what they are going to affect with the bacterial and fungal environment in your body. So this is what the gut score looks like. This is what you'll see. Just gives you an overall number between up to 10. So this one's 4 to 10. Just showing the microbiome diversity, the beneficial species, phyla balance, and pathogenic species that may be there. And these are just some snapshots of what additional things you'll see with the personalized report is lifestyle suggestions, supplement suggestions, suggestions on diet, and some product suggestions as well for making those changes quickly. And it's extremely, you could take this test and gain a lot of insight on your own and go do additional research if you'd like on these individual strains or species and what it actually could impact in your health, because a lot of these species, all of these species have been shown in research to have some correlation with some health outcomes. So you can learn a lot more, and it's really easy to read. Being normal or low, you'll see the smiley faces or the frown faces. So to give you a little bit very easy to read insight in the report. So the test kit, so the microbiome data, you're looking at the bacterial relative abundance and species relative abundance, the fungal phylum and species, the relative abundance, and the questionnaire gives us a lot of insight as well, because just understanding what the your background, your stress levels, and your sleep, your type of diet, and any other history questions, which is a part of the questionnaire, all of those things have been shown in research to be connected and correlated to some type of gut health or dysbiosis. So the next steps we have is a URL. This is the landing page, what you'll see. And there's a link that you'll have, I think that's in your chat, that's going to come as well. The SP microbiome, which is connected to bit.ly/SP microbiome. There's another, you'll see there's a good video on there explaining leaky gut. If you're interested in another thing, as far as like if you have gut imbalances, how that could affect leaky gut and health. And there's a way that there's two options. If you click on the order now, is you can get the kit itself and get the report and everything we've talked about to get specific insights on your the health of your microbiome, or you can do the microbiome test kit and you'll get a consultation with a healthcare practitioner that's been trained on this program. And typically that's about a $200 value. They're actually doing that for me for just an additional $25. So it's really inexpensive overall when you get the amount of insight to be able to change your health and get the power to be able to do that. This is just a longer URL, which is what you'll see once you put in this shorter URL. I created a shortened URL just to try to simplify it for you typing it in. And these are some of the scientific references that correlate with a lot of the information that was discussed above as far as what the microbiome is, dysbiosis, how it affects other parts of your body and overall. So you can reference this back. If anybody likes to do a lot of research, there is essentially enough out there to go deeper in the rabbit hole as much as you want. So that's all for me. I really apologize about that. I was literally missing like this much of my screen, and I could see like a piece of a word, and I was trying to go with my flow of what I remembered putting together. So I do apologize about that with everybody, but hopefully you got enough information to be able to learn more about the microbiome, the test kit, and how it can impact your life. And hopefully we have some questions.
Well, we have fantastic questions. We're new to using the transcript. So I did turned it off so it'll be on the recording, but hopefully it was not on your screen some way mid through this. But we have some really fantastic questions coming off of Facebook.
Awesome.
If we have questions here, go ahead and put them in the chat. But so somebody asked, and before I get to the nitty gritty questions, this is a good one to start with. How does the standard process kit differ from what a doctor gives you when you have an endoscopy? Because my experience is, by the way, I want to make this very clear. The Endometriosis Summit is not profiting any way off of these kits. But after we did the SIBO podcast, 1 million people asked me, but how do you know? And how do you measure? And this is one of the ways you can look at what's going on in your gut. And we felt it was very important to present this option to you because it's not always something you could find out without us showing you. So how does this differ from something you would get from an endoscopy? I want to hear you answer it. I know what my answer would be.
Yeah, sure. So endoscopy, when we're getting a procedure like that, we're more looking at, a disease state or pathology. This test is looking at, the health of your gut and what we can do to help change, from a health and wellness perspective to help mitigate getting to needing an endoscopy, essentially, or going down into, not that you would not need an endoscopy, but it measures it from a different perspective, if that makes sense. So we're looking at it from a health and wellness focus where we want to make changes in somebody, so we can get rid of the overgrowth if it's there, and just restore the health of the GI. Is that
right? So usually when you do the endoscopy, it's looking to see if you're red. Sometimes they'll culture, sometimes they won't, but it actually doesn't go through all those, what I call micropathogens, and see what's affecting you that could be driving the symptoms. Somebody was very interested to know in how not having a gallbladder might impact the microbiome, because you talked about that in the beginning. I found that fascinating because we only think gut, but it really begins way before. I love the bit about the brain, but it begins way before the gut with digestion. How does not having a gallbladder impact the microbiome?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, it is a north to south process. The gallbladder is meant to store the bile that's produced in the liver. And when fat and food is in the duodenum, it releases a quantity that's sufficient in order to be able to emulsify fat and help absorb minerals and so on. One of the reasons behind removing it the medical perspective is because the liver continues to produce bile. So therefore, you don't lose the production of bile, which is essential for our lives and our health, to be able to remove toxins and all sorts of other things. But what happens when you remove a gallbladder is you don't have that timing effect. So the liver produces bile and constantly on a regular basis drips it down the common bile duct, and you can have the bile in the duodenum at times when there's no food, which can cause more irritation of the duodenal lining, if that makes sense. Because there's the reason it's timing as well is because there's different pHs of all these things. And so it could affect it from an inflammatory perspective, because if we have more inflammation in the duodenum, and then if we have malabsorption or something that goes awry in the small intestines, then again, it's a north to south process that could cause a cascade effect. Not always, but it could have a trigger effect of a cascade of things happening down further south or in the large intestine that if you had the right timing and everything, then it would be less likely to happen. So what I normally recommend when people don't have gallbladders is to have as many small little meals as possible a day. Healthy foods, take that bag of raw broccoli or carrots or whatever apple, but on a consistent basis, it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to help with you managing your blood sugar through healthy eating throughout the day to maintain a healthy range of blood sugar. So you won't have crashes, you won't have spikes, and you won't have that insulin, and blood sugar drop cascade. And it will also help with providing some content and food in your duodenum on a regular basis to help to diminish that potential inflammatory trigger with bile being in the duodenum without any food there. And that's a long-term process. So it's not going to happen right away.
This is what people are really here for. So not to open a can of worms, but for the microbiome, is there a preference between a raw diet or a cooked diet? I know some practitioners really recommend that vegetables are cooked so the gut can take them in better. What do you think?
I think I'm not a stickler for everything is black and white. I think it's a rainbow, like the rainbow of foods. And I think you should have some cooked and you should have some raw, and it's really what it comes down to, because some people are so focused on only raw because the enzymes are there to help with you breaking it down. And some people focus on, having the cooked food so you break down those enzymes so it's easier for you to assimilate. But you can remove some nutrients by overcooking and some enzymes, make them unavailable for our body to actually use by overcooking. But I definitely think it's a blend that is really best for everyone. And again, there's also, just as eat a rainbow of foods, there's also things that may change seasonally. It may change based off of your stress levels. It may change off of where you are. In winter, you need more vitamin D than you do in the summer. It's just a very simple example, but things do change based off of what environment we are in. So if your stress is extremely high, that's when we want to go to that snack. That's when we want to go to that cake or that really, really good coffee that has all that sugar in it that tastes so good. But all of those things diminish our health of our microbiome, increase our stress hormones. And even though it's momentary, satiation, it actually diminishes our ability to be vital and be healthy. So in stressful environments, we're much better if we actually take a second and make the right choice, because it's actually going to help us through those stressful environments. So sorry, I went off on a tangent, but it is.
No, I'm going to make that into like a little recording, and you can email the endometriosis, because we all live in this, especially having a chronic disease, we live in a chronic state of stress. So what do you do? Sugar happens. I tell that to patients all the time. What do you do if you do have a day, like you talk about that 80% of the time versus 20% of the time? What if just that day the chai latte from Starbucks is the only thing getting you through? What if it's
Amen.
the peanut M&Ms because you have to launch the new website in 3 weeks? So what are some of the restorative things? Or we could have you back to talk about that.
Yeah, we can do that. But it's really, it's again, if you know you need those things or you want those things to help you through a stressful time because it helps you focus or it helps you comfort yourself while you're dealing with that stressful time, there are going to be times where it's not as stressful. Make it, put it into your calendar where you are going to, okay, I'm going to have a cheat day. Well, I'm going to have 2 days on, I'm going to have 2 days on where I'm really going to focus on health, or I'm going to schedule in a fast. Imagine I'm going to schedule in a fast once a month. There are things that you can do to help regain and kind of, I don't want to say cheat the system of your body, but essentially your body has an amazing ability to be able to overcome if we are feeding ourselves with the right nutrients, and we can diminish inflammation so we can actually restore some of our tissue health. So if you do have those moments of, you need to have that beautiful latte, drink some extra water, try to get some extra sleep. There are some things. I don't want to get, there's a lot of stuff you can get into meditation, because if that latte is spiking stress hormones, it's spiking sugar, it's just going to increase insulin, and it can have an endocrine effect. It's going to increase stress hormones in your body. Maybe that's going to have to, 10 minutes of meditation a day can allow you to counteract, that latte that you're going to have a couple times a week.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we do a lot of this at Endo Summit Workshop, by the way. So we have another great question from Facebook, and it wants to know the relationship of mold or environmental mold to SIBO, and could mold trigger the SIBO?
Could mold trigger the SIBO, mycotoxins? I mean, anything can. It may not be a direct trigger, and I'm not a mold specialist by any means, but I do have. I know mold specialists that I refer to, so I can give some references to them. But I would just say that if the mold is going to create inflammation in your body, which could diminish your ability to have, stomach function, proper pH with pancreas function and gallbladder function, and then, could have an effect on our brain neurologically as well, then that could set up an environment where we're not going to have a healthy environment in our small intestines, and which is, could create a SIBO prone environment. So, but again, that's just, I'm trying to pull it all together because everything can connect to everything. But I definitely would refer to mold specialists that I've learned from, but I've taken like 2 of those webinars. I haven't studied it like, hundreds of hours on those.
Right. Lots of questions about microbiome and Lyme. What do you think some of the connection is to Lyme and the microbiome?
So in the microbiome, it is 70% or more, it depends on the reference, of our immune system and our ability to respond to immune challenges is in our gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So if our microbiome is dysbiotic, and we're not able to respond to, and we have a poor diet, and we are creating more inflammation and inflammatory, essentially cascade in response on a regular basis, it's essentially adding to our burden and to our allostatic load. You've probably heard of the allostatic load is essentially, if we have a certain amount of toxins in our body, inflammation in our body, and immune burden in our body, and endogenous, exogenous hormone out of balance, it creates an amount of allostatic load, ALLOSTATIC. And if that is elevated, then if we have, a trigger, which could be Lyme, it could be a lot of different things, then we're less capable to respond appropriately to the Lyme, or we're not able to manage the inflammation that the Lyme is is causing. Right? So it could be the straw that broke the camel's back type of thing. But again, it may not just be the Lyme. There's co-infections, and just it's a whole body perspective when we try to look at. It's what microbiome is one thing, even though it's connected to everything, but it is one thing. So that's where this test just gives you insight into being able to control one aspect, but there's a lot of things that affect that one aspect and vice versa.
So we have one of our fan favorites asking a question that you could answer for 20 hours, but what do you think the impact of genetically modified food is on the microbiome? I told you we were going to get great questions.
Yeah, it's great.
But what do you think the impact of genetically modified food is on the microbiome?
So, we are genetic human beings, correct? I mean, we have genetics. Our health of our body does have, a lot to do with our genetics, or our epigenetics. Our epigenetics is our ability to have how our genes express themselves, and that has a lot to do with everything we've already talked about. So genetically modified foods, when we have not gone through, history of having those foods, we may evolve. Some may look at it, well, we're going to evolve faster because we have GMOs, because we have something that's forcing our genetics to express themselves in a different direction. So we're going to evolve. And some, like myself, I don't want to be forced to evolve because of an industry choice of creating foods, because of their decision of what that could be. So I definitely think it has an impact. It absolutely has an impact on the microbiome. I don't have any direct references on the slides that I showed, but I'm sure if you go on to PubMed or Google Scholar, if you typed in GMO and microbiome, something will pop up.
Yeah. It's also very, very involved. We could do a whole webinar just on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the impact of the microbiome is on really brain health? Because I think it, so much brain fog in the chronic pain population. And sometimes, I'm a physical therapist, sometimes the system is overwhelmed by the pain. So I try to optimize all the other systems because I'm not a surgeon. I can't cut away the lesion of endometriosis, but I try to work on all the other systems. What do you think the impact of the microbiome is on the brain?
I mean, the majority of the brain chemicals, serotonin, their precursors are manufactured in the gut. So it definitely has a direct correlation. So, I mean, so gut-brain axis, it's also the enteric, enteric, enteric nervous system is, and correlation to central nervous system. So if you look up enteric nervous system, central nervous system connection, it's the same thing as the gut-brain axis. So there's a lot of research in that. And it goes both ways though, it's bidirectional. So if you have stress, anxiety that's real, obviously, that you're dealing with a situation in life, that can affect the health of the microbiome. If you have, medications or inflammation in the gut and the microbiomes, dysbiotic, that can have an effect on the brain chemicals and our ability to think clearly. Was me during the time where I was trying to think of what I was going to say on the slides and I couldn't read. So I was like,
that happened to me the other week. So I knew we were going through. I just didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. So we're here. That almost wraps up our time talking about the microbiome. Seth, anything else that you want to share with? Also, we had the question of, can you do this kit instead of a laparoscopy? That's not what we're here to say.
Yeah.
We're here to show you that the microbiome plays a role in the whole picture of the person. And it's not an either or, and it's not even I did a lap, I don't have to check my microbiome. We're not even saying that. We're just saying you're a whole person And as an entity, we have to introduce whole person things. Yeah. So, any parting thoughts?
No, I mean, just when you have, knowledge is only so much, and we only really just scratch the surface of this. So that you could go and research this for a long time, but understanding research out on the web, as an example, is out there. It's not in you. So knowing what's in you gives you the actual tools and information in order to be able to regain. The whole point is for you to be able to take more control of your own life, right? Give the power back to you, because you're the one that actually controls your stress, you control your sleep, you control the food that you put in your body, even though sometimes it feels like we're out of control, including me. But the fact is, this can give you insight, to give you information, to give you control and you power. So, if you get more power and you can take more control of your life, you can increase your own quality of life by that knowledge. So that's really that's what I just want to encourage everyone to do, is just just take the power back and change your life by insight of what's going on within you.
Right. And I think take the power back is very important, especially with endometriosis, where it's, first of all, you're minimized for 8 to 10 years and nobody believes anything is going on with you. But then oftentimes it's about someone doing things to you, maybe doing the wrong thing. If you have gut disease, if you have bowel endometriosis, you need to make sure it's handled the right way. But this is about when you need to regain your quality of life. What are the steps beyond surgery or beyond medication that can help you live more fully? It's not instead of, but it's all about regaining your power. Regaining your power is regaining your voice, which we're all about that. And so it was amazing to have you tonight.
Thank you, Seth.
Our big season will start likely December 20th if I don't have if we get our lineup done. And our endometriosis summit pre-sale should go on sale likely mid-November. So get ready, because we'll be live and we'll be virtual this year. And it was amazing to have you, Seth. I hope that you come back another time and we can
I'd love
pick
to.
up. People loved you. You should see what's going on over on Facebook.
That's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, and I look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, so it is exciting to be with you. And we hope to see everybody again soon. Good night.
Take care.